Dave, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us and share some information about yourself and about your robots, the robot that you're working on, and uh, just to give people a feeling of who you are and things like that. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure, I'd love to. First, I'd like to thank you for letting me on your program. I'm really honored that you asked me. You, from your list of other guests that you have coming on your program, who's been on already, I feel like I'm right there with the cream of the crop, and I have trouble believing I deserve to be up there with those guys. But anyway, I'm just a regular guy, and I'll do my best. I've never done nothing like this before, um, so I got a little bit of stage fright. I hope you guys will forgive me on this. But yeah, as far as my background and who I am, I'll kind of make it kind of quick. About, let's say, 39 years ago, I was hired at We Energies, which is a pretty big power company in the Midwest here in lower Wisconsin, as a distribution power lineman. We go out and put up the lines when they fall down in storms, keep the lights running. We build lines, maintain lines, just things like that. Now, 39 years later, I'm still working there doing the same thing. Only now I'm what they call a line crew leader, so I have more responsibilities to keep the guys safe and alive. And production and crew coordination, stuff like that. So that's what I've been doing pretty much all my life. I'm almost 60 years old now, and I just love what I do. And about something else that added to what I'm doing now with the robotics is about 15 years ago, I started collecting and refurbishing and restoring old pinball machines from the 80s and the 90s. Um, Solid state pinball machines that are controlled by circuit boards and electronics and real steel balls that fly around at like 95,000 miles an hour and break things and bash things and lights and whistles and stereo sounds and stuff. But anyway, I found that fascinating. So I started collecting those and I, I didn't have the money to buy nice ones, so I bought beat up ones and I started tearing them apart, find out what made them work, rebuilding them. A lot of them, after being in these amusement centers running 24/7 for 20 years, were just at the end of their life. So I would tear them apart, rebuild them, and bring them back to 100%. Pardon me, and try to get as top end and even better than new as possible. So that was that was a challenging thing to learn. Before I started that, I had never done any kind of electronics. Never knew how to read a schematic. I was basically a glorified construction worker that climbed poles, so and played with electricity. So well, worked with electricity. But anyway, that really I did that for about 10 years, and that gave me a really good base of understanding of how electronics work. Not so much the theories, but how to repair the stuff, hands-on, fixing things, which I've always been pretty good at and really enjoyed. Uh, I'm a builder. I've never been more much of a learner, or I had trouble in school paying attention and learning things. I'm more of a visual guy, hands-on guy, and so everything I've learned in life has been hands-on, hard knocks. If it doesn't work, figure out a way to make it work. So that was pretty much the way it was with the pinball machines. And then, as a little caveat here, going back to when I was like a young boy of 8 years old, back in the mid '60s, I started watching this TV program called Lost in Space. It was like a sci-fi show from. They only ran 3 seasons, but it was cutting edge stuff back then. They had this family that was lost out in space, and they had this crazy guy on board who was trying to kill them all the time, Dr. Smith, and then they had this robot that was just the coolest thing I had ever seen. He was like a companion. He started out wanting to kill everybody because Dr. Smith told him to program. But the bottom line is he became one of the family's companions and protectors and saviors, basically. He was always there. And even at 8 years old, I thought that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen, and I wanted one. I wanted one bad, you know. And as I grew up, that feeling never went away. It was just something I really thought I'd like to have. It'd be neat to have this thing follow me around, being my companion, being my buddy, taking care of me if somebody messes with me, things like that. But I thought, well, this is like, here I am in my 50s now, thinking back at that and thinking, well, this is never going to happen. That was like 35 years ago or longer. What is that? I'm bad at math too. But anyway, it was back in the 60s. Here we are in the 2000s, and I'm thinking that dream is long gone. So about 5 years ago, I ran across this website called the B9. Let me get this right. The B9 Robot Builders Club. I always forget a name or two in there. And here's a bunch of guys that had gotten together over the years. They were that found a way to make exact replicas of the B9 robot from Lost in Space. You can see one standing right behind me, which we're talking about right now. That's why we're here. These guys somehow years ago got access to the real robot from the show that they found in the storage building. I believe it was one of the lots of the studio that was doing the shows back then. It was just in disarray, but they started pulling molds off this robot with permission from the people that had control of them, and they started making exact replica parts of this robot so they could build it themselves. So they figured they'd start up a club and get all the people that were interested involved, and they started supplying some of these parts to these people, and they had a website, and they'd have conventions, and they even got the old, I don't know if these guys did it, but they were able to follow the progress of the old robot from the show being restored. And it's just a long saga that we don't have time for here. But getting back to what I was saying before, 5 years ago, I found this club, and I'm thinking, holy cow, I can actually build one of these things myself and have something in my house that reminds me of this dream I had when I was a kid, when I was 8, 9 years old, and basically all my life. So I got really stoked about the whole thing, and I had never ever before built any kind of robotics. I had no idea how to move servos, how to build motors into things, how to control them, even what it took to make things work inside of this thing. But I knew I had to have one. At the very least, I was going to get it. I was going to put it together the best I could and stand it in the corner, and it would be a statue, something I could look at. So I started buying some of these parts from these guys. It's basically all the outside parts that you can see on the outside. Things that I don't have the talent to build or even to get close to looking like the real thing. And here's these guys that were selling these parts that were pulled, molds pulled off the original robot. I mean, how perfect is that? So I started buying things like the torso, the main torso section, the neon that flashes in his chest, those buttons in the front. There was a kit a guy made for that, the claws, and these are all exact duplicates of what was on, as close as they could get to the original robot. That bubble up on top, who the heck could do something like that? There's a guy that actually did the restoration for the real robot, Fred Burton, I think his name is pronounced Burton. They commissioned him to restore the robot. He actually makes those bubbles now for the club. And one of your past guests, Will Hoff, makes all the rubber arms and the legs that you can see on him back there.
Right.
Will, as you remember from your interview, and knowing Will, he works in Hollywood as a well, right now he does makeup work stuff, but I believe he's also done special effects work and stuff like that. But he makes that silicone rubber, which will last 100 years. So instead of using corrugated dryer vents and things like that, I hooked up with a guy from Hollywood that supplied these rubber parts that were molded from the original robot. So in essence, I've got a real B9 robot from the TV show right here in my house. It's just
Amazing.
amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
So when did you start with the Easy Robot products?
well, that as I started building this robot 5 years ago, collecting parts, and started, finish the parts weren't finished. I had to paint them. I'd have to get them all together. I'd have to make them look right, paint them, uh, figure out a way to assemble them because it's not a kit. It's just parts and nothing inside, no structural stuff inside. I figured, I'd like to find a way at least to get him move around a little bit, maybe swing back and forth at the waist. The bubble go up and down if I can figure out how to do that. Maybe ramble off a few voice clips from the show. And I was looking around for things like Arduino, other robot programs. I'm sorry, other robot system that might help me do this. And I was getting depressed because all this stuff was just so complicated and confusing to me. I had never written any kind of computer scripts or didn't know how to move any kind of motors or servos or what it took to get all that done. And of course, Arduino promised to do all that stuff, but I didn't know how to do it. I couldn't write a computer script or any kind of other control script, get that thing to do what I needed to do, or how do I get the motors hooked up to this board to make it happen? I was just lost. So everybody kept telling me, well, they've got pre-written scripts. All you got to do is look at them and maybe you make an adjustment and load it into the board and it'll just magically do this stuff. And okay, well, I took a look and it was still like Greek to me. It just like a bunch of these lines and drawings and things, and it just line after line after line after line after line of stuff that was just like gobbledygook. And I got depressed. I did, and so I started scouring the internet, and I came across this guy. This guy's video called. His name was DJ Sayers, and he had hacked this toy, this Wally toy, with his new robotic system called Easy Robots, that he said was for guys just like me that didn't know nothing about robotics that could make robots and learn how to do it easily. And I thought, oh, that sounds kind of cool. So I watched this video, and this little toy that he had taken apart and put servos in and cameras in was running around talking to him, following movements, reacting to things as he talked to it. And I'm thinking, holy cow, this is exactly what I'm looking for. This is amazing. And the guy says, I can do it. I had my doubts. So I went to his site, easyrobot.com, and I downloaded the software for free. And I started playing with it. And within a few minutes, I didn't even have a robot yet. Okay, nothing. I had the computer talking to me, and it was seeing me on the screen, and it was talking to me, responding to me, and there was projects in there that I could look at where other people had coded things, and I'm thinking, what, this looks really simple. I can do this. So I started incorporating that basic stuff into my robot, and talking to the other guys on the floor. They got a fantastic community there with guys like you, and you helped me out a lot, man. I want to thank you for that right here publicly. You're one of the guys that's responsible for getting this guy going the way he's going, because I was having some serious issues of my own that I couldn't figure out. But that's what I'm saying. There's guys like you on that forum that are willing to jump in and help guys like me that didn't know what the heck was going on or how to move to the next step. And that's basically how I got involved and got the Easy Robot platform started into my robot.
So obviously, this is your main robot. This is your main passion from age 8 to now, right? So,
Yeah.
is can you show us something that that robot can do?
Oh, I love to. This is my favorite thing to do.
There you go. Let's see
Yeah,
what.
I don't, I don't know if I said this before, but I've never built any other robots. Up to this point right now, I have never built any more. I plan to as I get older. This has been an all-encompassing project for the last 5 years.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
Before I show you what he can do, basically it took me about 3 years to build what you see right here and to do all the wiring inside and figure out how all that's going to work, mount the motors and the servos. And then about 2 years ago, I decided I wanted his arms to work like they did on the TV show. You can tell I'm all excited here because
no,
this
it's
this is
great.
this is my passion. I
Exactly.
spent 5 years almost every day of my life after work, coming home, coming down in the basement, weekends working on this thing. And like I said, I wanted those arms to work too, just as close as I could as I saw him on the show when I was a kid. And I don't know if you've ever seen that show, but his arms move and all that kind of stuff. And the trick was to get them to move out, to move around like real arms, and have points of articulation that make it look real. And there's, I got to tell you right now, I got to put a call out to Will Hoff right now. Him being the Hollywood dude that he is, I got the hold of him because I know his arms, the rubber silicone on the top is a main part of the arm. The outside of it makes it look exactly like the real thing. I've got all the mechanics inside the arm, and it looks really cool. But Will's arms, rubber on the outside, is what really makes it look and come together. It's just amazing and kind of spooky, to be honest with you. And Will, I talked to Will a little bit from time to time, and he gave me some ideas about how to do it. The big challenge was getting all those mechanisms to fit inside of the torso, plus have room for everything else in there, and then to slide out properly and move around. And these things weigh about 12 pounds at the very end. And if you know anything about robotics and leverage and torque, that's a lot of weight to be waving around for servos or anything else. So I ended up having to put like DC windshield wiper motors on the elbows and figure out a way to get Easy B to interface with that to operate that with position and speed control. And Will help me with some of that. I had some other guys on the group that helped me, on the Easy Robot group, that helped me with that. A lot of guys on the B9 Robot Builders Club, they gave me some input. And some guys that are working here locally, like my machinist, who helped me with the motor mounts for the elbows. He came up with some thoughts, some ideas, and so it's pretty much a collaboration. Is that a word?
Sure, sure.
Everybody kind of got together and gave me all these thoughts, and I put them all together and built this thing. So,
Great.
so what I'm going to do now is just to kind of show you his arms, how they move. I'm going to do like a one little routine that I put together here in Easy Builder, and that's part of Easy Robot's platform. And he's gonna stick his arms out, move around a little bit, and say a few things. And hopefully, let me move this a little bit here. Okay, how's that?
That looks great. Looks
I
great.
got Easy Builder running over here right now. He's paused, but because I've got, before I get into this, I gotta say one more thing.
Okay.
There's in Easy Builder, there's a personality generator that you can write scripts for in this Easy script that's really easy to write, like I said before, and it'll randomly pull these strips up, and he'll move around like he's got a mind of his own. So I've got like 20, 30 scripts written for light control, claws opening and closing, his bubble going up and down. But that's a little distracting, so I've got that turned off right now.
Okay.
So I got it running. So let me start this first animation. So anyway, here's the first one. This is kind of cool.
Halt. Who goes there? Warning. When unessential personnel are found alone, destroy. The Prime Directive forbids taking human life. Forgive me.
I don't care what you say. That's cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, with that personality generator, do you leave that running so that throughout the day he just does random things? Is that the gist of it?
The personality generator, which is now on because I've got a program to come on after he moves around. So you'll see him maybe come up and do something. It's like a random picker, a random number picker. It'll find one of those scripts on that list and just pull it out. Well, there it goes. Right now he's running something and do something like that every once in a while. You
That's
know,
cool.
can you see that?
He's
just running his
yeah,
radar back and forth right now.
it's like live artwork, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not like that head that's sitting behind him of Dr. Smith that's just sitting there. It's live artwork, which is really cool. I enjoy that a lot. That's
Yeah,
cool.
it's not only live, but it's a slice of history too.
Exactly.
It might be my history, but it's American history. And there's people you would not believe how many people over the entire world are into this robot. We got in the B9 Robot Builders Club, which I think you might have
Yeah, it's actually
the address right below my face there.
here you go.
That club we've got almost 700 members that have been going since like the early 2000s, and they're from Australia and England and all over the United States. It's just amazing. So if anybody gets a chance that's interested, they can go to that website, and they got lots of information on building this guy. They've got members' websites linked. They got links to members' websites where you can see how they built their own robots. I'm on there with ways you can see. I've got a link to my Smug Mug page, which has got hundreds of photographs showing this guy from the first time I had him sitting in piles till now when he's sitting right here in my game room.
Now it understands your voice. You can talk to it. You can say things to it. It obviously speaks. Now, when it speaks, it sounds like the robot off the movie.
Oh yeah, yeah. You probably heard him speaking before, right?
Right.
That's Dick Tufeld. He's the original voice actor from the TV show back in the 60s. Now, sadly, Dick died a few years ago, and so he's not available anymore, but he was up to shortly before his death actually working with the guys in the club doing custom phrases for him. Now we've got a guy, is Nick, I'm going to butcher his last name, McGuan. I'm not even going to try it. But he's a voice impersonator, and he does a fantastic job of imitating Dick Trufeld's voice. So I'm going to commission him to do some custom phrases for myself, and the guy does it because he just loves doing it. But I mean, if you're interested, I can show you some of the things that he can say.
Sure.
This is streaming right from Easy Robots. I'm going to show you a few of the things that I've got programmed right now on Easy Robots. That is actually something I like about Easy Robot platform is that Easy Builder is on your laptop. You know, it's sitting right here next to me, and I can update things and work on things live and load it right in. It's loaded right into the program, and I can make the robot react instantly to my changes. Or as I build it, I can make him do things, and if it's not right, I can redo it. And so you'll probably remember this one from the show.
Danger, danger.
And just a lot of different things.
I have been ordered to stand my post at this exact location and keep guard. I must not move from these designated coordinates. Those are my orders.
Oh, here's another one.
Hasta la vista, baby.
I mean, those are all custom phrases that Mr. Tufeld made 20, 30 years after the show was done. And he still sounds exactly like he did back then. These are custom phrases he did for the club, you know. So,
That's awesome. That's great.
It's just, it is great. It is great. You know, it's just, okay, he's moving around by himself back there now. There's so many things in this pro platform that makes it possible for me to do this. I would have never been able to do this without Easy Robot. There's no way that I could figure out the coding, the millions of lines of coding that it would take to make him just do what you just saw doing. Well, millions is maybe kind of up there, but it's just you're a programmer, you understand that.
Sure.
That what you saw him doing just now, turning back and forth, was maybe 5 lines of code that I just could go in there and type according to the easy script that outlines that he gives you, and then I can push a run button and it'll run. And if it looks good, keep it. If not, I can make adjustments.
Is there what's on the horizon for you? It looks to me like the B9 is pretty much a completed project, or are you still digging in and doing things? Or
well, my dream is now to move into other robots. I would love to do a Robbie the robot from, remember, Forbidden Planet.
Right.
In fact, a little side note here: Robbie the robot was designed by the same guy who designed this robot for Lost in Space, Robert Kinoshita. So they're kind of like brothers. So I think it'd be kind of cool to have that big black, scary-looking robot sitting next to this one, and you know, so okay, that's Bob's creation, and this is Bob's creation. But sadly, that one is a little bit harder to get parts on, and I don't have the talent to do fiberglass molding and sculpting and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure where that's going to go. But on the horizon, those are dreams that may or may not come true. I might think about maybe doing R2-D2, and all these things, easy robots can be incorporated into to make move and to react. Voice control is great. I'm still learning that. I just now, within the last 5 months, completed the build process of this thing, and I'm getting into the programming of it and learning more about that and how to incorporate it. But easy robots can be put into almost any project around the house, home animation, or robotics for real robots that you can think of. It's just amazing. So I don't know where I'm going to go from this. I know this guy here is probably going to be an ongoing project because there's things that I want to get into now to rebuild because I know that I can do better. I want to get him to eventually maybe one day roll around on his own. Right now he's stationary and static. I don't really have a lot of room here for him to run around, so I'm okay with that. Improvements to him, updates. I want to put in more voice activation stuff. I know that Easy Robot. This is important. Easy Robot just came out with a new plugin for voice recognition called. It's based on the Bing. Well, I know with this robot here, I've had the voice recognition turned on for since the beginning. Back when it was version 3 of the Easy V, when everything was Bluetooth, And now they've got the version 4.1, which is just blazing fast over your Wi-Fi network connected streaming from your computer. It's just bam, it's there without any hesitation or anything. And the Bluetooth is great too. Don't get me wrong, but this is just so much farther ahead. But the voice recognition has always been based on the Windows platform that you run on your computer, and love them or hate them, Microsoft is Microsoft. And I've always, even though I've got really good response rates and what's the word I'm looking for?
Recognition percentages, or
the percentage of recognition. I still get a lot of false negatives where I'm talking like this to me and you, and he'll pick up a word or two and thinks he's got to do something, which is annoying and frustrating. And I'm hoping with the Bing plugin that DJ has incorporated into Easy Robot, that I can get rid of all that. But without guys like you and DJ, I would not be able to make my dreams come true of having this robot here, and God knows where else I'm going to go with this. So it's just been an amazing adventure, and I have come to the point where I never thought I would be able to come before. Yeah, hey, if you want to take a look and find out more about my robot, one place to go is the Easy Robot forums. I've got a project page there. It's kind of a long title. Um, it's called The First Real Look at My Easy Bee Controlled Full-Size Loss of Space B9 Robot. So that's kind of a long title, but it is what it is. Sometimes I get long-winded, as you can tell.